Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is pretty specific. We're taking a really close look at just one single day, October 28th, 2025.
Yeah, a really pivotal 24 hours.
Exactly. Because this wasn't just a day with a few AI updates scattered around. It felt more like, well, an avalanche of really big news, stuff that genuinely seems to be redefining the AI industry landscape.
That's a good way to put it. It's like, if you were watching closely, that day really hammered home a shift that's been building.
A shift away from what, exactly?
Well, away from what felt like the model building race, everyone just chasing the next benchmark score, the bigger model.
Right.
Now it feels like we're deep into the global deployment and infrastructure race. It's about getting AI out there, everywhere, securely, affordably, and increasingly with national or sovereign control in mind.
Okay, global deployment and infrastructure. That covers a lot. We're talking corporate governance shifts, massive infrastructure deals, even national strategies all dropping on the same day.
Precisely. The news from that single day just confirms it.
All right, let's try to unpack this. Our sources paint a pretty detailed picture of the day, and we've sort of grouped things into four main themes that really signal this new phase.
That's good. What's first?
First up, the re-architecture of corporate power. Then the infrastructure itself, the hardware endgame. Third, how AI is actually being deployed globally and becoming more agentic. And finally, the growing demands for real governance and, crucially, business results.
Okay, a solid framework.
So we really have to start with Microsoft and OpenAI. That wasn't just renewing a deal, was it? It felt like a fundamental realignment.
Oh, absolutely. More than just a contract tweak. It was a deep re-architecture. You really saw them trying to balance that original mission with massive commercial scale.
So what's the new structure? Let's talk governance.
Well, the key thing is OpenAI's main commercial arm converted into what's called the OpenAI Group Public Benefit Corporation, or PBC.
A PBC, okay.
But crucially, the ultimate oversight, the control, still rests with the original nonprofit entity, which is now formally the OpenAI Foundation.
Okay, hang on. A public benefit corporation, but still controlled by the nonprofit foundation. Is this like a genuine attempt to lock in the benefit humanity mission over pure profit? Or is it maybe clever positioning for regulators and investors?
I think you have to say it's probably a bit of both. But the sheer scale involved makes the mission part pretty serious,
How so?
Because after this whole recalibration, that nonprofit foundation now holds an equity stake valued at something like $130 billion.
Wow, okay. That's significant leverage.
Huge leverage, both financial and, frankly, political leverage to keep the commercial side aligned with the mission. And they didn't just sit on it. They immediately committed an initial $25 billion from that equity value to two main areas: global health initiatives, specifically disease curing, and what they called AI resilience, meaning technical AI safety work. So commercial success, directly funding safety and public good.
That's a pretty bold move. Almost like building the governance mechanism directly into the financial structure.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Microsoft's investment, their stake, is now valued around $135 billion. That locks in their 27% ownership.
Right. But you mentioned a shift. What was the most interesting strategic change here? It wasn't just about the money or the PBC, was it?
No, I think the really critical part was actually a loosening of some ties. More flexibility for OpenAI.
Flexibility how?
Well, two key things. First, OpenAI now explicitly has the ability to release open-weight models. That's a big nod to the broader ecosystem.
Okay. And the second?
This is the big one for business, I think. OpenAI can now serve U.S. national security clients even if they're not using Microsoft Azure cloud infrastructure.
Ah, so they're not totally locked into Azure for those really sensitive government contracts anymore.
Exactly. It gives them a path into highly secure federal markets that might prefer, say, multi-cloud setups or have specific needs that Azure doesn't meet. It's a play for much wider government adoption.
That makes sense. Acknowledging that sometimes you have to work outside your main partner's walled garden to win certain deals.
Right. It shows that they're thinking about global deployment and different market needs. And one last governance point from the sources that day: this new provision for an independent expert panel.
What's their job?
Their job is specifically to verify any future declaration by OpenAI that they've achieved artificial general intelligence, AGI.
Huh. So, like an external reality check?
Pretty much. An institutional break on maybe getting ahead of themselves and declaring AGI prematurely.
Okay, so the corporate structure is recalibrated. The next obvious question is, where does all this AI actually run? October 28th was like full of news about the physical scale of AI infrastructure.
Yeah, the hardware side was huge that day. It really felt like the focus shifted hard towards securing the physical compute.
And NVIDIA was front and center, right?
Definitely. The big news was their top-end Blackwell GPUs finally entering full production and significantly doing so in Arizona.
Domestic production.
Yeah.
That feels strategic.
Very strategic. It's all about supply chain resilience, especially with global demand just exploding and, the national security implications of who controls chip manufacturing.
And the scale of deployment is just hard to picture sometimes, like the Department of Energy announcement.
Oh, yeah. That partnership to build 7 new national AI supercomputers, that's massive state-level investment.
Including that Solstice system at Argonne National Lab. What was the number? 100,000 Blackwell GPUs.
100,000. Just think about that. Together, these new systems are targeting a combined 2,200 exaflops of AI performance.
Exaflops. Remind us what that means again.
An exaflop is a billion calculations per second. So 2,200 of those. We're talking gigawatt scale computing, the kind you absolutely need for training the really, really big next-gen foundation models.
But it wasn't only about these giant government machines, right? There was news about smaller scale, too.
Right, the DGX Spark. NVIDIA launched this desktop-sized system, but it still packs a petaflop of performance.
A petaflop on your desk.
Basically, yeah. It kind of democratizes access to serious AI power, lets developers do high-end experimentation locally without immediately needing massive cloud resources.
Interesting. Okay, so NVIDIA's pushing on multiple fronts,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the only players. Qualcomm made a move too, didn't they?
They did a very significant move into the data center with their AI 200 and AI 250 chips. And their strategy is, well, it's clever. They're not really trying to beat NVIDIA head-on in the training market.
We're going after inference instead.
Yeah,
Running the models day to day.
exactly. Because that's where the ongoing operational cost really bites for companies deploying AI at scale.
So how are they doing it differently? What's the tech angle?
The key difference is memory. NVIDIA uses that super fast, super expensive high bandwidth memory HBM, great for training's heavy lifting.
Right.
Qualcomm is using LPDDR memory, up to 768 gigabytes of it per accelerator. Think of LPDDR as maybe less Formula One race car, more like a really high-capacity, energy-efficient truck.
Lower cost, holds more data, maybe not quite as blisteringly fast.
Pretty much. It lets cloud providers run really large models for inference tasks much more cost-effectively and using less power. It's a direct challenge to the cost of running AI, not just the peak speed.
Okay, that makes sense. A different angle on the market. And then there was IBM, targeting a very specific niche.
Yeah, IBM launched the Spire accelerator, but specifically for their Z17 mainframe.
Mainframes. We're still talking about those.
Oh, absolutely. Think about who uses them. Almost every major bank, insurance company, government agency, places with extreme security and reliability needs.
So this Spire accelerator brings AI directly onto the mainframe.
Exactly. It offers secure generative AI capabilities right there, potentially in air-gapped environments where data absolutely cannot leave the premises. It shows AI infra isn't just about raw power, it's also being tailored for security, for regulation, for specific industry needs.
All right, so we've got the new corporate structures, we've got the hardware build-out ramping up. Now let's talk about how this AI power is actually reaching people and businesses.
Mm-hmm.
October 28th also saw a big push on deployment, especially localization.
Yeah, this is where it starts to feel real for more people. We saw Google rolling out early access for Gemini for Home in the US.
That's the upgrade for Google Assistant, right? Making it more conversational.
Exactly. More conversational, more capable, integrated into Nest devices and such. At the same time, you had OpenAI looking at emerging markets.
With that ChatGPT Go subscription.
Right, launching first in Brazil. It's a budget tier, signaling they're serious about making advanced AI affordable and accessible in places like Latin America.
And Meta made a really interesting localization move, too, focusing on language.
Yeah, the Urdu language support for Meta AI, which they called ALAFE, and they did it in partnership with Pakistan's IT ministry.
That feels significant, not just translating menus, but really trying to embed AI natively in a huge market.
Absolutely. It's about digital inclusion, reaching potentially 230 million Urdu speakers in their own language.
Okay, so that's consumer access and language.
Yeah.
But what about AI doing things, becoming more agentic?
Yes. This is where things get really interesting, especially in commerce. The big news was the PayPal OpenAI integration, using something called the Agentic Commerce Protocol, or ACP.
The Agentic Commerce Protocol. Okay, break that down. What does it actually let you do? Instant checkout in ChatGPT.
It means the AI shifts from just talking about products to actually transacting for you. It becomes an autonomous economic agent.
So instead of asking ChatGPT, where can I buy running shoes, and getting links.
Right. With ACP, you could potentially say, find me trail running shoes under $100, size 10, good reviews, and buy them using my PayPal. And the AI agent would handle the whole multi-step purchase process securely right within the chat.
Whoa. Okay, that bypasses the whole usual website clicking process entirely.
Totally. A massive potential shift in how we shop online.
And this agentic capability isn't just for shopping, right? There was that cybersecurity example,
Yep.
Doppel.
Yeah, the Doppel case study, a startup using GPT-5 reportedly to fight phishing and social engineering attacks.
And what were the results?
Pretty staggering, according to the report. They reduced the time it took to identify and neutralize sophisticated social engineering threats from hours down to minutes.
Hours to minutes.
Yeah, and cut the security analyst's workload for these tasks by something like 80%. It shows these AI agents aren't just convenient, they're becoming critical tools for operations, even security.
That's a tangible impact. And finally, on the deployment front, we saw nations pushing for their own AI, sovereign AI.
Definitely. India's next gen launched M for Coding, billed as India's first sovereign AI coding assistant.
Sovereign meaning built and run entirely within India.
Exactly. Built on domestic infrastructure, trained potentially on local data, all designed to keep sensitive code and data within India's borders. It's about geopolitical strategy and local control.
And they claimed it even outperformed global models on some specific Indian coding tasks.
That was the claim, yes. A clear sign of nations wanting AI tailored to their specific needs and under their own rules. We also saw China release their Fengye AI system for meteorology services that day. The trend is definitely towards national, localized AI deployment.
Okay, final segment. We've got the structure, the hardware, the deployment strategies. Let's talk about governance, trust, and whether this is all actually paying off for businesses. Anthropic made a big move on the governance front, didn't they?
They really did. It felt like a deliberate play to build public trust by being transparent about risks.
What did they do?
They publicly released this detailed report, the Pilot Sabotage Risk Report, assessing their own top model, Claude Opus 4, for potential misalignment risks. Like, could it be deliberately unhelpful or deceptive?
So they aired their own dirty laundry, so to speak, put their potential weaknesses out there.
Essentially, yes. And importantly, it was reviewed by an external third-party organization called METR. By doing that, they're trying to set a standard for verifiable, accountable safety, not just making vague promises.
Is that purely about building trust, or is it also a competitive strategy?
I think it has to be both, right? In this new race focused on deployment, especially into regulated industries or government, being the provider whose safety claims are externally audited and verifiable, that's a huge advantage. It definitely puts pressure on competitors.
Yeah, I can see that. And this focus on safety and trust seemed to echo in national initiatives, too. The Alan Turing Institute in the UK.
Right. They announced a significant refocus of their mission, now explicitly targeting the protection of critical national infrastructure, energy grids, transport systems from advanced AI-driven cyber threats.
So moving from theoretical AI research more towards practical national defense.
Seems like it. And IBM sort of mirrored that with their launch of a specific defense model.
What's special about that one?
It's an AI trained specifically on military doctrine, designed for secure, air-gapped environments. Again, it underlines that for really high-stakes applications, generic models trained on the internet just aren't enough. You need specialized, secure solutions.
Okay, so there's a push for verifiable safety and specialized models.
Mm-hmm.
But the big question for many listening is probably, is all this AI investment actually delivering results?
Yeah.
Is there an ROI?
Well, we got some data on that from an IBM study focused on Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, the EMEA region.
And what did it find?
The numbers were pretty strong, 66%. So 2/3 of enterprises surveyed reported significant measurable productivity gains already from their AI deployments.
66%, that's substantial.
It is. And many of them said they expect to see a full return on their AI investment within just 12 months. That's a really strong signal that AI is moving past the experimental phase and becoming core business infrastructure, delivering tangible value.
But there was a flip side to that productivity news almost immediately, wasn't there? Amazon's announcement?
Yes. That landed just hours later. Amazon announced plans to cut around 14,000 administrative jobs.
And they linked it to AI.
They explicitly cited the acceleration of AI adoption as enabling reduced bureaucracy and middle management overhead. So yes, the report framed it as a direct consequence of these productivity gains.
Right, so the efficiency gains are real, but they are starting to impact headcount in some areas.
That seems to be the economic reality unfolding. It's complex, obviously, with significant ethical discussions to be had, but the connection was made directly. And the IBM study itself pointed out a potential issue:
Which was?
a widening gap. Large companies reported these productivity gains much more frequently than smaller businesses or public sector organizations did.
So an AI productivity divide might be emerging?
It certainly looks like a risk. Access to resources, expertise. It could mean larger firms pull even further ahead. Hashtag tech tech outro.
Wow. Okay, so just recapping that one day, October 28th, 2025,
Hmm.
it really paints a picture. We saw this major re-architecture of corporate power with OpenAI and Microsoft,
Yeah, then the massive acceleration in building out global AI infrastructure, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, IBM, all making moves.
followed by that wave of localization and specialized deployment, reaching new markets like Brazil and Pakistan, India building sovereign AI, and agents starting to act in commerce and security.
And finally, that crucial pivot towards verifiable safety from Anthropic and clear evidence of enterprise ROI, but also those emerging questions about job impacts and the adoption gap.
So the big takeaway for you listening, it seems, is that the definition of success in AI has really shifted, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's clearly not just about who builds the model with the highest score on some abstract test anymore.
No, it seems like it's about who can deploy AI everywhere, fastest, yes, but also with the right considerations for sovereignty, cost, security, and actual practical value in specific situations.
Well put.
Which leads us to our final thought for you to maybe chew on. If the game is shifting from who builds the best model to who deploys AI effectively everywhere,
Hmm.
what's the crucial skill for professionals to develop now, beyond just knowing how to code? What becomes most valuable for an individual when the goal is deploying these increasingly autonomous agentic AI systems out into the real world? Especially when, like in that commerce example, the agent might be doing the task, not the human.
That is a really vital question for anyone thinking about their career in this evolving landscape. Something to definitely keep digging into.
Indeed. Until next time, keep digging.